So this is factoring trinomials day 2. It has the same objective as day 1, except for this time there are going to be more choices. As always, the first thing you do is check for a greatest common factor, especially if it is negative. Because you always want what's in this first term box here, you always want this to be positive. That's what the purpose of factoring out a negative GCF is. You're going to set up an area model right in the first and the last terms. You're going to ask yourself what multiplied by what will make the first term. Then you're going to make a list of factor pairs for the last term. And then you're going to trial and error with the pairs and the signs. Remember, by signs we meant if the signs of the terms are going to be positive or if they were going to be negative. And you're going to try that until you come up with the right one. You're going to check those terms that are diagonal from each other in the area model to see if they combine to make the middle term. And you know that you're done finished factoring when there are no more x squareds terms or a squareds or t squareds or whatever you need. In other words, when there's no more of these left. So the first thing I'm going to do is look for a GCF. First of all, this isn't negative. That's a good thing. Does 3 divide into 20 or 12, or is there any other number that divides into all 3 of these coefficients evenly? No. So I don't have to do a GCF this time. I just have to figure out what factors will multiply together to make this trinomial. Put my first term in the first box. Put my last term down here. You don't have to include the plus if you don't want to. If we don't write anything there, we know that it's positive. What times what will make the first term? 3x times x makes the first term. And now I'm going to list my factor pairs for 12. It could be 1 and 12. It could be 2 and 6. It could be 3 and 4. Notice how I made this list. I went 1 times something, 2 times something, 3 times something, always starting with 1, keeping it very organized so I make sure that I don't miss any pairs that could be a possibility. And now I have to ask myself what I want to try. Do I want to try 1 times 12? Do I want to try 2 times 6? Or do I want to try 3 times 4? Let's just try 2 times 6 and find out what happens. Let's put a 2 here and a 6 here. And we also have to play with the signs. I know that I need a positive term for this 12. So either this has to be positive and this has to be positive, or they both have to be negative because a negative times a negative makes a positive. Since the middle term is negative, I'm going to make both of them negative. A negative 2 times a negative 6 makes a positive 12, but then somehow I will come up with negative terms here that will combine to make negative 20. Let's see if this works out. Let's do 3x times negative 6, that's negative 18x. And let's do negative 2 times x, that's negative 2x. When I combine these like terms, negative 2x minus 18x, that is negative 20x. Hey, that is what I wanted. I guessed correctly on the very first try. Which for me, since this is my job, happens all the time. But when I was your age and I was first learning how to do this, I did not guess right all the time, and I had to use a lot of eraser. So my factors, I'm just going to write those factors up here, are 3x minus 2 and x minus 6. And again, if you really wanted to double check your work and make sure everything's good, you could multiply these two things together, double distribute, and it would work out. I'm going to stop here and do the next example in the next video.